Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of the Articulate Fly, and we're back with another Cape Lookout fishing report with Captain Chris Cease of Not the Real World. How you doing, Chris?
Marvin, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm just trying to stay out of trouble. I mean, I know you're doing great. You were just regaling me with your fishing adventures over the last 2 weeks, and you've been tearing it up. You want to kind of share with folks what you've been seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. Last week we had a very, very good tailing tide. We were catching several fish that were tailing in a couple feet of water up in some creeks, which is absolute fantastic sight fishing. Just today, I myself got a day off and got to get out of the water and was able to hook and land 8 drum anywhere between 18 and 25 inches, all in about a foot of water, sight casting these guys. Swimming across grass flats, which is just my absolute favorite, was an awesome guide day off. And then I had a couple of clients do some similar stuff with some other reds a few other days. And then we had a showing of some false albacore, which are moving in. It seems early for this year, but had a client lock into a bunch of those on Friday. So fishing's been really, really good here this past several weeks.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And how is your, we've had some tropical depression activity. How's your weather looking, say, for the next week to 10 days?
It's looking pretty good. We're supposed to get some windy days here the next couple days, but it should probably shake out into something that's supposed to be a little bit more normal. Luckily, the last hurricane that went past didn't do anything too crazy. We had a lot of wild thunderstorms past couple days, but was able to actually fish during those days and did catch fish during them. So it's, despite it being a little off with all this stuff moving around, it hasn't been too bad.
Yeah, and I imagine, too, if you've just come off flood tides, your tides are probably okay, but they're not epic like the flood, right?
Yeah, we just had the full moon the last couple of days here, and so they're getting back to be some normal ones, just in regards to that. Last week we had that flood tide in the evening, which is exactly what you want. That flood tide right now is basically in the middle of the night, so it's kind of useless to anybody unless you were trying to do some wild night fishing. But the tides are normal essentially throughout the rest of the portion of the day, it seems like.
Got it. And we got a question for you from Guy Martin, and he's frequently asked questions on the Articulate Fly, and he wanted you to kind of take a little bit of a deeper dive into your setup for speckled trout in terms of rod, line, leader, and flies.
Sure, absolutely. I guess it would be depending on where exactly I'm fishing for speckled trout. Generally, I like to fish for them off of like sod banks and drop-offs. So I'll use an intermediate or an intermediate tip line, and then you can really catch a bunch of them on just a simple clouser. They seem to like pink, although the color combo that's been working for me well the past couple of years has been kind of like a light grayish blue over chartreuse with some black flash, actually. Kind of a weird color combo, but that cloud has been working really well for specks here and in Virginia. And so generally I use like a 7-weight rod with an intermediate or intermediate tip because I'm hopefully fishing somewhere in the 5 to 6 foot range. As you get later into the fall, you'll be fishing in those deeper holes, and so that intermediate line getting down does do very well. Kind of in like October, November into December, you can have the really good speckled trout fishing in deeper waters. It's really cooling off. At that point, I'll sometimes use a bucktail deceiver that kind of like floats in the water, suspends, and so you strip it, let it hang, and strip it, let it hang. And from there, you can use like an 8-weight, maybe with something like it's a little more harder tip, or heavier tip, excuse me. And sometimes I'll throw a top water for them. And in that regard, I'm using a fly I call a bank walker, which is like a big fly that's a deer hair popper, essentially, with a rattle in that imitates a mullet. And you got to throw that on a 9 or a 10-weight. But if I use that thing first thing in the morning, it works really well. You can get some big blow-ups on that. And my leader setup is always the same. It's about 5 feet of 40-pound test, 2 feet of 30-pound test, 2 feet of 20-pound test, which is what I use for reds and pretty much anything around here.
Got it. And is that a hard or a soft mono?
I think it's the soft one. It's just the spools you get in any tackle shop. I want to say it's called Trickfish. I think is the spool. They're either blue or red, but it doesn't need to be particularly anything specific. I mean, I've used regular 40-pound strength mono before in a pinch to get down to just the butt section and go down to 30 and 20.
Yeah, got it. And, folks, we love questions on the articulate fly. You can email them to us or send them to us on our Facebook or Instagram page. And if we use your question, I'll send you some articulate fly swag. And then we were in a drawing for some of Chris's flies at the end of the season. And, Chris, before I let you hop and have a guide's day off beer after a guide's day off fishing, why don't you let folks know where they can find you so they can book in fish with you?
Sure. My website is www.nottherealworld.com. That's spelled KNOTTHERELWORLD.com. And you can also contact me and talk to me all the time on Instagram, which is @NotTheRealWorld, also spelled the same. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or talk to people about fishing.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, listen, folks, you owe it to yourself to get out and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Chris.
You too, Marvin. Thanks.